Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be based on the new Modern Warfare 2 leaks and details that have come out, and I'm just going to be talking through my thoughts on things including the new Gunsmith approach, the way the movement works, new equipment, and some of the map design releases that has been shown in the past couple of days. It's been huge. You guys are probably overwhelmed with the amount of content on YouTube about this, but I just wanted to put out a video with my short thoughts and what I think we should be expecting. My main focus on this video is going to be the more competitive side of things, because as that is mainly my channel. I'm not going to be focused on any update on Warzone or anything like that. But yeah, before we get into it, the video in the background is a very old video. It's an old Modern Warfare 19 gameplay I managed to produce. 66 and 3 I go on this pubs kill confirmed, so I absolutely go huge. It's one of my best games I had on the game. And it was recorded on an Xbox One, which is why it's a bit choppy, so I do apologise for that. It's not the easiest of watching, because I think I was playing on like not even 30 frames at this point, but I was still fry. So yeah. Right, let's kick it off with the map design. So there are two different types of maps. One's going to be for the bigger sizes, which I'm not going to be focusing on, and they've labelled the other size maps as core maps. Now these are going to be purely with the 6 versus 6 intentions, which means that map design is going to be solely and purely produced for the best possible 6v6 content and experience. Now this means that the maps are going to be slightly smaller than before. It's going to be a lot more simple. There's going to be a lot less verticality as well, which means you're not going to be having to look up, whereas on those more ground war size maps they're going to have a little bit more complex design. Obviously it's going to be bigger, and there is going to be like buildings to scaling, things like that. As well as maps, there hasn't been anything disclosed with regards to how many maps there are going to be, but the fact that they are focusing purely on the 6v6 side of things and purely designing them for those close range combat, I think we're in for a treat. There are rumours, no one has actually said this blatantly, of a map builder. An editor, sorry, not builder, that's a bit misleading. And essentially it means that you can adjust the maps slightly, including things such as spawns, objectives, and like small bits around the map, like small actual objects and things. I think this is nice. It's going to give pros the ability and coaches the ability to make their own sort of variations of the map, and if the CDL decide that that's the best thing to do, maybe we'll see that. I think it's good for competitive. It's one of the biggest things for me. I think it's going to make a difference to the competitive side of things. It's hopefully going to make Modern Warfare 2 a really competitive game. The next thing I have on my list to speak about is the Gunsmith and the new additions. So they released a couple of screenshots, one of which is here. It's not actually real game image, but it's based on earlier media reveal, so take this with a pinch of salt, but this is going to be essentially what the setup is. So you're going to be guaranteed 7 attachments. This isn't like Vanguard, you're not going to be able to have everything, but you're going to be guaranteed a barrel, mag, receiver and stock attachment at the bottom, and then you're going to be able to choose 3 of the top 6. So you can either choose a muzzle, underbarrel, laser, ammo, optic and rear grip. I like this. I think it's nice. You're going to have the basis, the main attachments of the gun on the bottom section of the actual weapon parts. They're going to be the biggest attributors to the change you're going to be making in the gun, whether you want it quicker or slower or more, heavier for less recoil, that sort of thing. Whereas the ones at the top of the thing are going to be slightly tweaks. Talking of tweaks, they're also adding like a bar you've got with each attachment essentially, which means that you can make it heavier, you can make it longer, you can make it shorter or lighter, and that will change the stability, walking speed, ADS speed, recoil control, that sort of thing. So you're going to be able to really fine-tune your guns. My thoughts on this briefly, I'm not completely on board with it. It's hard for me to say without actually seeing it in the works. I don't know how much it is going to change it. I think if they hopefully try and keep the addition that of like the not just the green bars, if they do give you access to see the actual stats of each of the things, I think we're in for a treat, because you are really going to be able to fine-tune each gun specifically for the strengths and weaknesses you need it to be strong in. So yeah, I'm pumped about that. It's going to make for a lot of customizability. It may increase the skill gap, but I think a lot of people are going to be overwhelmed by it. I think it's going to be a lot to think about, and people probably aren't going to be too keen on making those adjustments all the time. I think people are going to be even more referring to what Optic Scump said is the best class, and it's just going to be one of them things where people aren't going to be able to customize it themselves. It's going to be like they're going to see it, it's going to be overwhelming, and they're just going to look online for the best class setups. Which is great for me as a content creator, because it obviously means more views my way if I create a video for class setups. But for I think every other, like for the users and for me finding that class up initially, it's not going to be the easiest thing. It's going to be a bit of a nightmare. But hey, I like it. I like the initial 7 attachment setup. I think that's nice. But I'm going to be a bit hesitant on the small minor adjustments you saw in the second image. Moving on to movement. Movement is going to be quite a big change this year. So in brief, there's going to add swimming. Now swimming's going to have currents. You're going to be able to shoot with a pistol only whilst you're in the water. You can swim on the top of the water, or you can dive into the water a little bit lower and a little bit deeper. You're going to be able to do less damage in the water. So although you are hidden, you are going to have the balance and trade-off of the fact that you won't be incurring as much damage as you would be on land. But if you want to be sneaky, rush through, I don't know what noise the water makes. Obviously, I haven't seen any of this. This is purely going on things I've heard and things that have been released already. You might be able to sneak through the water. Who knows? And the water's going to have a current, and this is quite a cool thing. I think it's going to be a bit corny. I don't think it's really going to be used competitively, but for example, you can put a proximity mine on the top of the water. It will float, and the current will take it downstream. Could be trolly, could be fun. I'm not sure how it will work in competitive, as I know tactical mines aren't even in competitive, but are you going to be able to throw a Semtex which will bob along the front of the water, or a grenade which will travel along the water, that sort of thing? It'd be interesting to see. Another mechanic. Well, let's first think about what they've not changed. So, tac sprint is going to be the same, as well as mounting. That's going to be the same. There aren't going to be any changes to mounting and tac sprint. They're here to stay. I'm okay with that as long as tac sprint isn't too fast. It just incentivizes slide cancelling and things like that, which I know is fun to some people. I enjoy it, but it's not really a competitive thing to break cameras and win gunfights based on baking cameras. As well as slide cancelling, you are going to be able to dive. Now, I'm not sure how this is actually going to be working. I haven't heard many more details on this, but sliding and diving are both an option in movement in Modern Warfare 2. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Talking of like mantling and that sort of thing, you know how you climb a ladder, you pull a pistol out, and you can peek over the ladder with a pistol out when you get to the top. You're going to be able to do a similar thing with walls. So, for example, you see a wall that you can jump over or mantle over. You approach the wall, you jump it. Instead of going straight over it, you're going to be able to peek it slightly and maybe shoot over it with a gun with one hand, that sort of thing. Which I think is a cool idea. It's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit niche. I don't think it's going to be actually usable in a lot of situations. But you know what? It's going to be fun for pubs. It's going to be one of them things that can be a bit trolly. I don't know, depending on how the actual mechanics work, it could be a mechanic you can absolutely... it could be worse than snaking, is my thoughts. It could be like you can pop up and down, that sort of thing, which will make killing Celium even harder. But that's an interesting thing, I think. And as well as that, you are going to be able to jump from a mantle area to mantle area. So essentially, you're going to be able to climb and scale certain parts of the map using this feature. Moving on to equipment, so there's a couple. This isn't going to be so much of a competitively based, but I'm just going to run through this quite quickly. Camera spikes are back. We had a similar thing on Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 1, I believe. But in this instance, you're going to be able to throw it, and then you're going to be able to tag people through it as well, which is a nice addition. There's going to be a wall charge, which essentially, and there's the game, by the way. Look at that, lovely jubbly. And there's going to be a wall charge where you throw this thing against the wall, it drills through the wall and grenades the other side. It's going to be only for the thinner walls, but again, quite an interesting thing. An EMP, which may be in competitive, is also interesting. It can destroy things like vehicles. I know this isn't Warzone, but it can destroy things like vehicles, potentially trophy systems, that sort of thing. Yeah, I think that's it. There's also a dummy. Now, this is a bizarre thing. There's a bloody dummy, which dummy mine you can put down. And essentially, when an enemy walks past it, or whether you press it with your controller, it's going to be like a C4. You push it with your controller, it's going to pop up, and it's going to be basically just an inflatable army man or woman, soldier, to distract an enemy. That's going to be that sort of thing. So that'll be interesting. It won't be in comp. I can nearly guarantee that it won't be in comp unless the pros are feeling completely trolly this year. But it'll be fun for pubs and that sort of thing. Other than that, there's not much. There's one thing I did want to add at the end of this, though, and that is Weapons Vault. Now, this isn't something that directly affects competitive. However, I think it's cool for any person who plays Call of Duty. At the moment, when you purchase a blueprint on the store, you only get that blueprint for the certain attachments that are on the gun on the blueprint themselves. Nowadays, you buy a vault, a weapons vault, instead of a blueprint, and this essentially will give you a blueprint for all attachments possibly to put on that gun, which means you can really build, you can really customize the build you want with the blueprint you've purchased, which I think is a lovely addition. Other than that, there's not too much to add on. There's loads of other information, bits out about the campaign and Warzone and bits like that, but I'm going to leave it at that for now. If there are any questions, feel free to ask. And if there's anything I missed, I'd be delighted to, if you guys let me know. It'd be good to find out anything that I have missed, because this is all I know so far. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay. As I said, I went 66-3. And if you made it this far, let me know if you're excited for Modern Warfare 2. I know I am. I've got the juice already. I'll see you guys next.